Welcome to the Mind Body Temple podcast, the healing space with Dr. Kevin Rod. I have the honor of having Tania back here. Tania came surprisingly with Coco that she'll explain to us. Um, you have been a good explainer of the whole process of healing from chronic pain to uh, mind-body concept of healing.
Okay.
And I'm very proud of you. I've put together all those notions of how to find your purpose as the first step, and then how to make peace with yourself and get ready to implement these skills. And then I want to talk a little bit about your experience about the skills of different practices that you have done in order to promote your healing.
Okay.
And then the role of Coco and other animals like Coco in your journey to heal.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me again. I really appreciate it. Okay. Where would you like me to start?
Yeah, when you started to have clarity about why you want to get better, and when you finally came to some sort of level of peace, I guess that process of making peace with ourselves is an ongoing work in progress. But when you had some level of clarity about what you want to do, how you want to heal, then you started to do some step, like we talked about.
Yes.
When I say skills, I mean all of those little things that you do,
Right.
the mindfulness practice that you do, those, sticky notes that you put up in order to see them,
Yes.
Your booklet, and then the role of, I call it animal therapy or
It
pet
is.
therapy.
It is.
You heal them and they heal you.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to hear a little bit about that.
Okay. So at the beginning, to get me started on this whole path, I had moved into my current apartment 10 years ago, and I never fully unpacked. I was broken. And I don't know, I woke up one day and I realized how much time had gone by. Nothing changed. I felt stuck. I felt lost. And I didn't know how to move forward. So, here comes Dr. Ross.
Well, I'm glad that I had the opportunity to discuss the mind-body temple concept and the mind-body medicine concept of healing. And then we started with, why you want to get better. And we went through layers of why, and then why and why. For you to find the core authentic reasons of things that are important for you. And then the next step was to, instead of fighting with yourself and not liking yourself, disliking yourself because you dislike your pain, instead of that, start to make peace with yourself.
Yes.
And then you were ready to learn, what's the next step,
The next
what is the role of meditation, mindful. I remember you would come back and ask me, I'm feeling this or I'm feeling that, what's the meaning of it? And
Yes.
you were so eager to learn more. It was all of a sudden your whole mood has changed and you were completely eager to learn. And then you came up with your own skills, your own methods, your own little tricks. And I remember I told you, make sure you mark these things down. Make sure you keep a collection of information, because that becomes somebody else's
Yes.
guide on this journey. And these are the things that are important for our audience to hear, because first of all, they'll get some light of hope that there are ways that we can get better
Yes.
and move towards healing. And second, there is some practicality to it. It's not just concepts. They're mere practice that you can do. And if you keep doing them, then you move towards healing.
Yes. I think the first thing for me was having to make a decision that I wanted something different for myself. And then the second thing was, okay, how do I do that? And that's where the journey of this came in. We get in our own way. When we're stuck like that, we kind of stop ourselves from going forward.
Yeah.
But you have to make that choice. I had to make that choice that I wanted something different for myself, that the way I was living in my life at the time, I was not happy. I was not good. I wasn't in a good place. yeah, I had no pride in myself. I had no pride in my home. I could honestly say I stopped living for a while. And then it was just, I had enough. I got tired.
Yeah.
I had enough.
And then you start to have those little steps. Like,
Yeah, it
what
was.
are those things that you write on
So
the
the
wall
first
and
thing
you make sure that
was,
you see them, put them in a place that you see them every day? Because that element of repetition is very
yeah,
important.
it started out where I couldn't meditate. I would last 30 seconds and then I would start, like, I'd be lying in bed. I would put the meditation, I would find one on YouTube. I realized I needed one that had words. If it was just sound or music noise, my head would just wander. So I would put one on and I would lie in bed, and within 30 seconds, I'd be like, I don't like my ceiling. I don't like the color of my walls. What do I need to do tomorrow? And my head would just, so
Mind would wander around.
yes.
That's what the mind does.
So you and I ended up having a conversation about breathing and breathing techniques. And I went back home and I looked it up and I found one that worked for me. And that for me changed everything.
Yeah, we call it the anchor because
Yeah.
the mind goes to the past and future, but the only time in your life that you breathe is the present time.
Yes.
So that's the anchor that brings you to the present time, and I'm glad that you did that practice.
Yes. And I found that, so what the way I used it was I would start the meditation, and anytime my mind wandered, I would focus on my breathing and I would slow my breathing down and try to get myself back to what they call now center, present.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that was at the time, but yeah.
And
So
I
it
remember I
started
told
like
you
that.
don't fall into these two traps of meditation. One was that don't think that you have to do it perfectly
Yes.
in order to benefit from it, because nobody can do it perfect unless you're a Buddhist monk and have 40,000 hours of practice. Nobody else can do it perfect. But you don't have to do it perfectly in order to benefit from it.
Exactly.
Just attempting to do it will have effects on
Yes.
your nervous system.
Yes.
And repeating that attempt will have the effects.
Yes.
The second was don't do it and check if you are getting better or not, because that throws you to the future. And future brings you back
Very
worries.
true.
Yeah.
Yes. For
So you
me,
did the breathing techniques
I did
as
the
an anchor
breathing.
that brought you to the
Yes.
present moment.
And that allowed me to leave that meditation playing, and at some point I would just fall asleep. And I just started doing that. I don't know how long it took, but I just remember the feeling where I woke up one day and was going about my normal morning routine and realized that, hey, I'm feeling pretty good.
Yes, that's
I'm
amazing.
not really sure what this
And
is.
it's been quite a while before you
Yes.
really felt like that.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that then solidified that there was something to this.
That there is some hope.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
message.
Yes.
That if you do the work for the sake of doing the work, and the effects will come.
Yes.
If you do the work and you check if I'm better or not, your in future anxiety will kick in.
Yes.
Panic attacks will kick in. But you do the work for the sake of doing the work. Keep doing the work, and the effects will gradually
come.
emerge. Will come.
They do come.
Yeah.
I'm a testament to that.
Fantastic.
They do come. Because
That's great.
you know, I didn't believe in any of this. You know that about me. I was always honest with you about it. So for me to sit here and say it works,
Yeah.
that there really is something to this.
That gives hope
Yeah.
to thousands of other patients. And then tell me about Coco and the likes of Coco.
Right. I'm going to just let me finish this part and
Yeah,
then we'll
yeah.
go over to Coco. Yeah, so from there, what I started doing was just, I would have a meditation playing in the background. So when I was cleaning, when I was in the shower, doing dishes, just anything, it would be in the background. I don't know if my brain took it in or not, but they say you do. So it started off like that. And then I would hear certain sayings or words, phrases that would stick to me.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I can't remember all of this. So I started writing them down in a notebook.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Right.
That became your
Yes.
remedy that you continued. That becomes like a system of different reminders that
Yes.
brings you to that zone. You actively bring yourself to that zone that
Yes.
you want to be in.
Yes. And that book, I still write in it to this day when I'm listening to something new, a new meditation, or I hear something that just does something to me. It ends up in my little book.
Yeah, that's your archive.
Yes.
That's important because when you go to this environment, when you go to this space, whether it's on, different online spaces like YouTube, you listen to different. I told you that one of the best resources is YouTube. You can go and
YouTube.
find if you search whatever positive images or messages or speeches, the best of the world you can find there free of
Yes.
charge for you.
Yes.
But after a while that you keep doing them, you you find some sort of a taste. There are some of them that appeal to you
Yes.
more than others.
Yes.
And then you spend more time on those, and then more likes of them will come to you, and then you will have your own collective of different things that
Yes.
make sense to you, and they'll give you a kick. It gives
Yes.
you
It
some
opened
sort.
up
Yeah,
a whole world
it's
of,
uplifting.
yeah, there's so many people on YouTube that are doing good.
Yeah.
And they're doing this and trying to get it out to the masses. And I've been able to find some of them. And from each one I watch, there's always something, even if
learn
it's
something.
little, but I learned something. And then it just goes in my book.
Yeah.
And that book now I carry around with me. And I've told you before, whenever I'm in a waiting room or in line or just anywhere, I just start reading it. I will
Very
flip
useful
through
for
it.
you. Yeah.
And then I realized that some mornings I wasn't always waking up with that frame of mind, and I needed something to kind of just remind myself. So I started writing them on recipe cards,
Nice.
right? Cue cards.
Yeah.
And so I have them stuck to my fridge. I have them stuck to my mirror in my bathroom. I have them stuck on my TV shelf. I also have them in my bedroom.
So
way
wherever
I
you
set
go,
them
you
up,
will see
yes.
them. Yeah.
And the way I set them up in my bedroom is that when I first sit up in the morning, it's right there. I have no choice but to read that.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And then when I get out of bed, as I exit, there's one on my door. And I have to read that and then go out and start my day. So they're strategically placed
Yeah.
everywhere in my apartment. And they're just reminders. And I say these things to myself every day. And then as one no longer gives me that feeling, I just switch it up and put up another one,
Something else. That's right.
right?
So this is the active process of keeping yourself in that zone.
Yes.
Like everybody these days talk about proper diet, exercise, muscle strengthening, but we think less about the active process of bringing our mindset into the space that we want to spend time and our whole life in that space.
Yes.
So we actively have to bring ourselves to that zone of positivity and keep ourselves there. And this is an active process. We have to work on that.
Yes.
And your method of reminders is something that will make it practical. And that practicality will make it easy to repeat. When you
Yes.
repeat this, then it will sink in.
Yes.
That's how neuroplasticity will tie into this game. That by repeating what is positive, you stay in the positive zone until your nervous system get adapted to that zone.
I also took a couple of days too at the beginning because I didn't understand the whole concept of how our subconscious talks to us all day long and we don't really know what it's saying because we're just going about our day.
Yeah.
So I took a couple of days to pay attention to that. And it freaked me out. I couldn't believe what I was actually saying to myself. But once I recognized that, the last 10 years made sense. I knew why I was stuck. I knew why I was a mess. I knew why I couldn't move forward. It was all in here.
Yeah.
I just
That's it. For negative thoughts, you don't need attention. It will just keep coming up.
Yes.
It's the positive thought that you need to intentionally focus on them, repeat them until that becomes the new
The
default.
narrative. Yes.
Because we don't have a lot of time, I want you to talk about Coco. You see how excited I am. I come back to this subject because we have this whole concept of pet therapy, connecting to the nature, the effect of us on the nature and the effect of nature on us.
Yes.
And I want to hear that therapeutic effect from you.
So this started right after I'd moved into that house, my apartment that I'm in now. I didn't go out. I didn't have a life, right? I had my core friends and they tried for sure, but I was a mess. right? I
Yeah.
just wasn't into it.
Yeah, you put up a brave face,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
inside you don't
I
have
made sure
much
I was
energy.
there for people's birthdays and their
Yeah.
special occasions, but I would go home and I'd be in this darkness. I don't
Yeah.
know how else to say it. It was just dark. No joy, no peace, no nothing like that. Um, and so a couple of my friends who own dogs, they were just like, you should get a dog, you should get a dog. I'm like, no, look at me, I'm such a mess. I can't take care of myself. How can I take care of a dog? And so one day I was just like, okay, maybe I'll just look.
Yeah.
Let's just go online and look. And I came across this world of dog rescues and like all these societies and this whole community that's out there. And I thought, well, if I want to see if I can have a dog, maybe the best way to do it is to foster one and let's see what it's like.
Yeah.
And so I put out couple applications and got my first dog. Came quick, and my whole world changed when I heard the backstory of this dog and the abuse, and just it was horrible. Anyway, and then within a couple of months of being with me, this dog was just love. It was
Right.
all about love and joy and happy and
Like a flower that opens up.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I could like run down to the car and come back 2 minutes later, and the dog is excited like he hadn't seen me in days, and I was only gone 30 seconds. Right? It didn't matter. That whole thing just did something to me. And so as I started fostering and started getting other dogs, something changed in me because I started to realize that if they can go through such horrendous conditions by human beings and then be placed with another human being and find a way to still
Find the
heal,
trust and love and healing. Yeah.
trust, all of that. Come on. Why can't we do that?
Then there is hope.
Right? So when you see this, yeah. And
That's
then
fantastic. That's a great message. And remember about the purpose, we always talk that the trick about them is that the most important purpose that will change you is something that will serve somebody else, not
Yes.
yourself.
Yes.
And that is the relationship. You do something for them and they do amazing things
Yes.
for you, and the healing happens in between.
And it's all natural. It was something that I didn't set out for. I didn't think that the dog was going to do this for me. But
Magic happens.
the dog saved my life.
Fantastic.
I had to get up every morning. I had a responsibility. They needed to be walked. They needed to be taken places. They needed vets. They needed social activities. They needed a life. And all of a sudden, I had to give them this.
You have the purpose, you have the plan, you have the activities,
Yeah.
and it's all full of love.
Yeah. So it took me out of myself, and it made me focus on something else.
While you're healing.
Yeah.
And through that, you find healing.
Exactly. Exactly. It all came full circle for me. All of it. You included. Right? Everything just came full circle. Coco was supposed to come to me next week. But emergency situation. She
Yeah,
showed
this
up.
wasn't planned,
This-
but
no.
this became better than what we thought.
Yeah.
So, there are reasons for the things when they happen, and we make the best of them.
Yeah.
And I really thank you for coming with Coco. And,
Thank you.
this message of hope will go a long way.
Good.
Thank you,
I'm glad.
Tania.
Thank
Thank
you
you so much.
Thank you.